Hi everyone, welcome back to our Python for Data Analysis series. In today's video, we are going to learn about variables in Python. Variables are the foundation of storing and managing data in your code. By the end of this video, you will know how to create and use variables effectively. So let's begin. Here is what we will cover in this video. What are variables? The rules for naming them, how to assign values to variables, and using variables in Python programming. Now let's see what are variables. Variables in Python are like containers that store data. Instead of using data directly, we give it a name and use that name in our code. For example, here x is assigned the value of 10 and name variable is assigned the value of Arya. Python has some rules for naming variable. Let's discuss these rules briefly. A variable name must start with a letter or an underscore. It can't start with a number. It allows only letter, number or underscore. Variable names are case sensitive. Reserved keywords like if or class cannot be used as variable names to avoid conflict in the coding. Assigning a value to a variable is simple. You can assign any data type to a variable. Python uses dynamic typing, so the type is determined by the value. For example, here we can see that x is assigned value 10 and also x is assigned value hello. In the first example, the x is a integer data type, and in the next example, the x is a string data type. It adjusts its data type according to the value provided by us. So Python is a dynamic language. Now let's look how variables are used in programs. Here we have two examples. In the first example, we can see that we are doing basic math, where we assign variable a and b two values. And we have another variable called result, which will provide us the sum of a and b, which we can print later. In example 2, we can see that we are doing string manipulation, where we are using three variable and printing the full name. We will see this later in our demo session. Now let's look at the rule for naming variables. When creating variables, follow these rules. So first here we can see that variable's name must start with a letter or an underscore. So a variable name can only start with a letter or an underscore. Here we can use age is equal to 2012, and when we execute this we can see that we didn't get any error, means this is allowed in Python. And when we use underscore age is equal to 23, we see that here also we don't get any error. But when we use 1 2 and age, means we start our variable name with a numeric number and assign it some value, we will get an error, syntax error. So we can only start our variable name with letter or an underscore. They can only contains letters, numbers and underscores. So here we can use some variable name like Arya 123 underscore is equal to 123, and when we execute this we get no error, so means this variable name is correct. But when we use Arya at the rate 123 and assign it a value and execute it, we get an error. So let's see what if we start our name with any special symbol and execute it, we get an error. Basically, we cannot use any special symbol in our variable name except underscore. So if we use some variable name like this and execute it, we will get an error. Next point says that variable names are case sensitive. This means age is equal to 23 is different from this age is equal to 26. When we execute this code, we can see that we have correctly given our variable name. When we print both the ages, we will see that variables are case sensitive. In the next point, we should avoid using reserved keyword like if, else, print, while, for, in, etc. Here, for example, if we use in is equal to 23, we can see that we get an error. If we use while is equal to 34, we can see that we get an error. So, we should keep in mind while naming our variables these few rules. Now let's see some use of variables in our Python script. We will see by some examples. Let's assign some value to these variable names. Here, when we execute this, we can see that we have correctly written our variable names, and now when we write a few line of codes to update the age of John, we see that we have the updated age of John. We can also update and print our name by writing few simple line of codes, which is like this. Here the name variable now stores ARIA in it. Now let's write a small code to find the area of rectangle. Here we have taken three variables, length, breadth and area, and by using it we can print the area of rectangle. In the conclusion, we can say that variables are the foundation of Python programming. In the next video, we will dive into Python's starting with strings and integers. Until then, happy coding. Thank you and Jai.